Hello students, welcome to Meso Study again. So in the today's session, I will be talking about some questions as per your CBSE pattern is considered. And as we are discussing about the chapter Animal Kingdom, I have included around 10 questions. Each of the questions, they are from different categories, some from 1 marks, 2 marks and the 3 marks and the 5 marks. I'll tell you how to attempt such type of questions. Now, let's start the today's session with question number 1. This question number 1 from 1, 2 and 3, all these 3 questions, they are of 1 mark. So, the question indicates why are corals important? Yes, corals have very much significance in the ecosystem. This is because they are having a deposition of calcium carbonate, and when they keeps on accumulating into an area, then they lead to the formation of a land area. For example, we have a Lakshadweep island. So, corals have calcium carbonate which gets accumulated at sea bottom and lead to formation of land area. And lead to formation of land area, and we have a very good example, that is of a Lakshadweep island. That island is formed because of the deposition of calcium carbonate which is from the corals, right? So, one of the greatest biodiversity, that is also because of the corals. Very important corals are there as per the whole biodiversity is considered. Now, let's move on to the next question, that is a question number 2. What is the difference between, this is also a 1 mark question. So, the question says, what is the difference between a class amphibian and a class reptilia in respect of their skin? In the sessions, we have discussed in detail regarding the characteristics of amphibia as well as reptile. When I was discussing about amphibia, I have already discussed that amphibia are those group of organisms which can live on both area, land as well as in water. That is, a dual mode is there. So, if we talk about these organisms, if they have a dual mode, they will be having the adaptation of the dual mode only. So, when we talk about their skin, in case of amphibian, the skin is moist. They are, you can say, a slimy skin is there, which is a moist skin, a smooth and the moist skin. Whereas to talk about a class reptilia, in this the scales are present, they are dry and scales are present all around their body. So, let's talk about class amphibia, and second is class reptile or reptilia. These are the two classes. Now, they are famous for the dual mode. So, the outermost skin, is smooth and moist because they show respiration by skin as well. Whereas to talk about the organism who belong to a class reptilia, they are having a scales present on their body. For example, you have seen the crocodiles as well. You must have seen the snakes as well. The snakes, the scales are present all around their body. That is a characteristic feature. Skin has scales and they are not smooth. Right? Now, to talk about amphibians, they lay egg always in water. Let's talk about some more features. So, they always lay egg in water. Whereas the crabs organism who belong to class Reptilia, they lay egg in lay egg on land. Right? Now, in this case, we have discussed about the two differences, out of which the one difference is related to skin and second difference is not related to skin. In this case, the larvas, they are produced. In this case, the reptiles, no larva is produced. So, larva is there. In this case, the larva is not present. So, these are the certain characteristic features, right? This is how you have to attempt a 1 mark question. Right. Now, let us move on to the next question. This was a question number 2. Let us move on to the next question. Now, read this question. By the time, let me prepare your board. Which organ help in excretion? A very direct question, very 1 mark question. So, as per the arthropod are considered, we have discussed in detail regarding the characteristic feature of arthropod. In arthropod, the Malpighian tubules are present. Malpighian tubules. Because we have to give only one, so Malpighian tubules you can write. Right. Whereas in case of the hemichordates, they have a proboscis gland. Proboscis gland, which help in excretion, right? Students, we have discussed in detail regarding these, right? If you remember, that is well and good. If you don't remember, go back and watch those sessions again, because unless this whole session of a revision will be a waste for you. Now, let us move on to the next question, question number 6. This is a quite 2 mark question, so you have to attempt this question wisely along with the certain examples as well. Now, distinguish between a diploblastic and the triploblastic. Diploblastic, as the name indicates, these are those group of organisms which are having 2 germ layer present. In this, the ectoderm is also present and the endoderm is also present. To talk about the triploblastic are those group of organisms in which the 3 germ layers they are present. So, they are having 2 germ layers. What is the name of those germ layer? Outermost ectoderm, then is endoderm, which is present towards inner side. Hope you are getting what I am trying to say. Now, let us talk about the triploblastic. So, triploblastic, the name indicate, that means 3 germ layers they are present. What is the name of 3 germ layer? In this case, the ectoderm is there, the mesoderm is also there. So, how to remember meso study? Because you are watching a sessions of meso study, so this is the mesoderm. Now, again we have is the endoderm. So, ectoderm is outermost, mesoderm is towards the inner side or towards the middle, or if I say that is the middle between the ectoderm and endoderm, whereas the endoderm is towards the inner side. Later on, they differentiate each of these layers, they further get differentiate and they form a different organs, and we have already discussed about the derivation. If I'll start explaining the things in detail, that will be totally a time wastage. So, to talk about, let's talk about the certain examples of the diploblastic and the triploblastic animals. In case of diploblastic, we have an example of hydra. We have an example of, you can take a coelentrates as well. So, all the coelentrates in the poriferans, they are diploblastic, whereas these are the porifera and coelentrata, organisms who belong to porifera and coelentrata. Whereas the triploblastic are those in which the 3 germ layers are present. This is a more step towards the modernization. In this, the organisms are all animals except who belongs to phylum phylum, this Porifera, and phylum Coelenterata. Right, students? So these are the difference between the diploblastic animal and the triploblastic animals. Right, Porifera and the Coelenterata, in this all animals are there, except in this you can write Annelida, Arthropoda, mollusk, whatever you want you can write over here. So let's move on to our next question, that is a question number 5. We have to explain regarding the features of the animals who belong to phylum Mollusca. Now, we are talking about phylum Mollusca. First of all, let's discuss about habit and habitat of such organisms. These are those group of organisms which can be either marine or they can be freshwater. So, they are aquatic. I will be explaining only few of the points, rest all we have discussed in the sessions. Right? They are aquatic, they can be a freshwater, they can be a freshwater or they can be a marine. Right, mollusca. Let's talk about one more feature. The body is covered with a shell or mantle. Right. Let's talk about the internal feature of these. When I was discussing about the same in the sessions and when we were starting the different phylum, at that time we have discussed, first of all you have to explain whether they are triploblastic or the diploblastic. You have to explain whether they have a coelom or not, which system level of organization is present in them. Because in the last session of this chapter, we have concluded with the help of a chart. If that chart is remembered to you, if you remember all those features which we have explained, which we have learned in the chart, that is well and good. From that chart only you can write at least 7 to 8 points. And that is enough for attempting a 5-mark question also. You can elaborate those points. When you know the definition of the triploblastic, you can write the definition of triploblastic over there as well. So, the shell and the mantle is present. Let's move on to some more features of the phylum Mollusca. So, first of all, they are triploblastic. They are triploblastic. Now, as we are discussing, the triploblastic is there and we have discussed in the session as well. In this case, the 3 germ layers are present. One is the ectoderm, endoderm and the mesoderm. These are those group of organisms which are coelomates. Now, what is a coelomates? That means they are having a coelom present. Coelom is a body cavity which is filled with a coelomic fluid. That is they are called as a coelomates and they are lined by mesoderm. That also you need to remember. Let's talk about the organization of cells in this case. They have an organ system level of organization. Different organs are there which are distinct for a specific function, that is called as an organ system level of organization. Now let's talk about their body. When we see the body of these organisms, we can see the body is divisible into head, visceral mass and foot. head, visceral mass and foot. To talk about a head, in the head the tentacles and the eyes they are present, which are present on the stalk, which is called as a omatophores. So, head has mouth, eyes and one more, tentacles. And the eyes, they are present on stalk, and on a combination we call it as a omatophores. Right. After that, the buccal is present, the buccal mass which is present, they are having a radula. One of the another important feature is buccal mass, they have radula. In the radula, the teeth are arranged which help in mastication of food. So, these are the general, you can say, the characteristics of the phylum Mollusca. This is a 2-mark question, but I have given you enough of points. Whatever which is convenient to you, if these are convenient to you, you can write these points, and you can write those points also which we have discussed in the sessions. But whatever we have discussed in this session regarding the questions, they are important because these are the basic things that you have to remember. Even you can write the examples as well. Without example, like the question will be incomplete. The answer will be incomplete. So better to write the examples as well. Now, hope you have noted down this. Let's move on to the next question. Yes, very good question, very easy also, direct also, and very, very important as well. Question number 6, this is also a 2 marks. So, we will attempt this question accordingly, and we have discussed in sessions regarding the difference between a bony fish and the cartilaginous fish. So, the name indicates a bony fish. That means these are those fishes which are having an endoskeleton of bone. So, let's discuss about some of the features. I will be discussing only few. Bony fish and the second, cartilaginous fish. Bony fishes, they are also called as osteichthyes. They are called as osteichthyes. Right? Whereas these cartilaginous fish, they are called as a chondrichthyes. Now, from the name only, I got 2 differences. First, osteichthyes and the chondrichthyes. Another difference is that the endoskeleton in this case, that is of bony, endoskeleton in that case is of a cartilaginous. Right? One more thing is because bony fishes are there, so they do need to float as well, they do need to swim as well, so they have a swim bladder present. So, another characteristic feature is a swim bladder is present on these type of fishes, whereas in this case no swim bladder is present. No swim bladder is present. In both of these, the gills are present. In this case, the gills are covered with operculum, gills are not covered with operculum. Whereas in this case, these are those group of organisms which can live either in marine condition or in a fresh water. Let's write about this. They can live in fresh water as well as in marine condition. Whereas the cartilaginous fish, they are only marine fishes. Only marine fishes. In this, we have an example of scoliodon and electric ray. Electric ray is also an example, right? Now, in this case, you can write an example of a rohu, salmon, you can write example of a katla, etc. Right? This is the difference between a bony fish and the cartilaginous fish, right? Hope the difference is clear to you. Now, hope you have noted down the same as well. We have completed the 2 marks question as well. Now, let's move on to a 3 marks question. So, next question we have is a question number 7. This is also one of very good question. All vertebrates are chordates, but all chordates are not vertebrates. Justify this statement. Now, to talk about a chordate. In second we have is a vertebrate. First of all, let's discuss about a difference between these with the help of examples. In case of chordates, first of all, they have a urochordates, they have a cephalochordates and vertebrates. So, they include urochordate, cephalochordate and vertebrate. Now, listen to the things carefully. In this case, along with the vertebrates, they have a cephalo and the urochordates as well. So, they will be having a features of vertebrates as well, but some external features as well. That's why it is said that all vertebrates are chordates, all chordates are not vertebrates. We will be discussing about the features as well. Now, in this case of a vertebrates, we have a different examples like mammals are there, like birds are there, like reptiles are there, fishes are there. Each of these, they come under the vertebrate only. First of all, let's discuss about a notochord. These are those group of organisms in which the notochord is present. So, notochord is present, right? And one more, they have a dorsal, hollow, they have a dorsal hollow nerve cord, dorsal hollow and single nerve cord present, right? Now, in this case, the notochord is absent. A notochord form dorsal vertebral column. Right? In this case, the nerve cord which is present, or you can say they develop into a central nervous system. That is a solid, that is a multiple and ventral. Right? These are those group of organisms in which the heart is a ventral. Heart is ventral. In this case, the heart is dorsal. Right? In this case, the pharyngeal gill slits, they are present, In that case, the pharyngeal gill slits are not present. In some stage of life cycle, they are present. In this case, the pharyngeal gill slits are not present. Right? This is the actual difference between the chordates and the vertebrates. Chordates do include the vertebrates as well, whereas these vertebrates, they do not include the chordate because of the changes in the different features. In the chordate, certain invertebrates also is there. Some invertebrate chordates, they are also present. So they are not having a features of invertebrates. That is why it is said that all the invertebrates are chordates, but all the chordates are not vertebrates. So this is a question number 7, which is a 3-mark question. This is how you have to attempt write the differences with the help of examples also. In the sessions also we have discussed in detail. This is how you have to attempt. So first of all, note down this, then we will proceed further. So students, hope you have noted down about this question number 7. Let's move on to the next question, question number 8. So this question, read this question. In this we have to write about some of the features of phylum Porifera. So to talk about Porifera. Porifera are those group of organisms which are having a pores present on their body. So they are having pores present, right? And these pores, they are called as a ostia. They have some specific function. We will be discussing about that. So in the case of the Porifera, we have as a different examples, like you can take an example of a spongilla is there. You have an example of Euplectella. These are the two examples which we have to discuss. So the Poriferas, these are those which are having a pores present on their body. These are, first of all, let's talk about the habit and habitat of these poriferans. These are marine animals. These are marine animals. Marine animals, right? Now, these are those group of organisms in which the tissue level system of organization is seen. Which system? Tissue level system of organization. That means no specific organ is there, right? They just have a tissues present which is formed with the combination of the cells. In this case, the two germ layers, they are present. That is the reason they are called as a diploblastic animals. Diploblastic animals. So as I have discussed, they are having two germ layers. And what is the name of these two germ layers? One is called as a ectoderm and second is called as a endoderm. Right? Let's talk about some more features. In this case, as I have discussed, the ostia, they are present on their body. And these ostia, they help in a water current so that the water can enter into body through ostia. Later on, they enter into a body cavity which is called as a spongocoel and move to the outside with the help of osculum. So, water system is there or canals are there. Canal system is seen. Water enter through ostia. Water enter through ostia. Later on, they enter into a body cavity And what is the name of this body cavity? Spongocoel. And after that, the water move outside from the body with the help of osculum. With the help of osculum. Let's talk about the sexes in this case. Let's talk about the digestion. Digestion in this case is intracellular. Intracellular. Right? Sexes are not separate. So both the individuals, they are present in the same, both the sexes are present in the same individual. So sexes are not separate. Right? Now, one more thing is that they can undergo both sexual reproduction as well as asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction happens because of the fragmentation and budding, fragmentation, whereas the sexual reproduction happens with the help of formation of gametes, and later on the fertilization of gametes happens, and that leads to the formation of a new body. So these are the certain features of the porifera. You can write more features we have discussed in the sessions. Now let's move on to our next question, which is of a 5 marks question. This is a 5-mark answer. Read this question properly, then we will proceed further. How are non-chordates different from chordates? Write the major phyla of non-chordates and give examples as well. Now, we have to discuss about the non-chordates and the chordates. First, let's write down a non-chordate over here and a chordates over here. Non-chordates. Non-chordates, these are those group of organism in which the nerve cord is not present, or you can say in this case basically the notochord is not present. Let's first discuss about the notochord. Notochord not present, whereas in this case a notochord is present. Notochord is present, right? Now, in the case of the non-chordates, the different phyla which comes, let's first discuss about the phylum. In this case, in this we have an example of the non-chordates. You can write porifera is there, the coelenterata is there. They do have other, like you can write any platyhelminthes. Asclepianthus, whereas the chordates, we have an example of mammals, we have an example of vertebrate, etc. Right? In this case, in case of the non-chordates, the central nervous system which is present, central nervous system, that is CNS, central nervous system. Central nervous system in this case is dorsal, hollow and single, right? Whereas in case of the chordate, the central nervous system is ventral, solid and double. Right? In the first case, in case of the non-chordates, the pharyngeal gill slits are present. Pharyngeal gill slits are present. Whereas in this case, pharyngeal gill slit absent. Right. These are those group of organism in which heart is ventral, whereas in case of chordates the heart is dorsal. Right. These are the difference between a chordate and non-chordates. Now let's talk about what are the different major phyla of the non-chordates and give examples as well. Come to this side. We have to explain in this case regarding the phylum Porifera, phylum Coelenterata, phylum Platyhelminthes, to explain about Aschelominthes, regarding Annelida, phylum Annelida, Arthropoda, phylum Mollusca, and phylum Echinodermata. You have to explain about the features of each of these porifera. We have discussed about the features of porifera. Let's discuss about the coelentrates. These are those in which the two forms are present. One is a polyp and the medusae. With one example, that is enough. Platyhelminthes, which is also called as a flatworms. In this, the Taenia solium is an example. Aschelominthes, these are also called as a roundworm. After that, we have the Annelida. They are having a body segmentation is present all around the body. Hirudinaria is an example. Arthropoda, in this, the jointed leg is present. Body is divisible into head, thorax, and abdomen. Bombyx mori is an example. You can take any insect example. Mollusca. We have discussed about the features of mollusca. Do I need to explain that again? Next we have is Echinodermata, which are having a spines present on their body and they have a well developed water vascular system, which is also called as an ambulacral system is present in this case. So you have to explain about these different phylums one by one, not in detail, but at least 1 or 2 points you have to write along with the example, because it is written in the questions that you have to give examples as well. So this is how you have to attempt a 5 marks question, quite a lengthy question, but it is very easy and a direct question. Now let's move on to our last question, that is a question number 10. Enlist the main features of Aschelominthes and give examples. Now Aschelominthes, what is the another name of Aschelominthes? They are called as a roundworm. Can you give one example of Aschelominthes? Yes, Ascaris lumbricoides. Ascaris lumbricoides. It's an example. It's a scientific name, that's why I have underlined it. Now let's talk about general features of these. Start from a habit and habitat. These are those group of organisms which may be aquatic, let's write only aquatic, or they may be a terrestrial as well, or they may be a parasitic as well. They causes diseases, right? These are those, I'll be focusing only on the some specific point. They are having a triploblastic condition is there. Triploblastic condition is there. Let's talk about a coelom in this case. They have is a pseudocoelomate condition. Now what is a pseudocoelomate condition? That means in this case the coelom is not lined by mesoderm. Pseudocoelomate condition is there. Parasitic is there, triploblastic animals are there, and when we talk about these, they live inside the other organism. And one more, they have an organ system level of organization. Organ system level of organization. right? These are those group of organisms which are bilaterally symmetrical. Right? So these are the certain features, but you have to explain about the features in detail. We have discussed in the sessions. Go and watch those sessions and you can explain about them in detail. So students, we have discussed around 10 questions, separate category, but that is not enough. If you are preparing for your 11th class exam, these questions are not enough. You have to study in detail as well. Whatever notes I have provided you, whatever the sessions, the things which I have given you, the notes which I have given you in the session, do revise that carefully and make your own notes as well. Hope you all are preparing your notes, and then again and again in every session I used to tell you to prepare your own notes, and that is important. Even when you will be going for your master, at that time also this is a very general topic and that you should know. So hope you enjoyed the today's session. We'll meet in the next session. Till then, take care of yourself. Thank you so much students for watching this.